Serif officially launched Affinity Photo 2.5. In this video, I just want to cover the most important ones, I would say. Now you can see right here that I've already updated mine, and once you update, you can be brought to this page. So what is new in Affinity? There are only a few updates for this version. So if you're a Windows user, apparently the entire Affinity suite is now optimized for the latest Windows hardware thanks to the full native optimization for devices with ARM64 chips, which basically means that Affinity Photo will run better on Windows devices with these specific chips. Now, honestly, I'm a Mac user. I've got my MacBook Pro M2, but if you're a Windows user, this might be useful for you. So the next thing is the variable font support, which is kind of funny. So if this is more catered towards designers, obviously, so not really for photographers, but they now support variable fonts. So if I go back to Affinity Photo, and let me actually change the opacity a little bit, and I press T on the keyboard to grab my text tool, then in your context toolbar, usually you find all the fonts that you actually have installed on your device, let's say. However, now you'll find that you can filter by different font types, and that is by TrueType, by OpenType, and by variable font. Now, this function only works on variable fonts, and honestly, I only had the bottom three on my laptop installed, so I actually went to a Google website, and here you can actually find variable fonts, and you can just download them for free and install them to your device, let's say. So I installed the upper two, so let's actually start with Open Sans, and let's click and drag to write something. So let's write hey there. And what you already know is that there are font styles right here. So next to the font type, you can actually change the font styles. So if you want it to be semi-bold and italic, you can do that. But now if you pick one, you can actually change the parameters of this specific style. So you can change the weight and the width. So the weight is basically how thick the letters are, and the width is basically how wide letters are in this case. So these things are called axes, isn't really important to know. But for other fonts, let's say if I change this font to Roboto Flex, there are also quite many styles. But if you go into your variable font settings, you can actually see there are way more parameters or way more access to change. So by default, it actually just shows these 5, and you can change the optical size, you can change the weight, the grade, so that is actually how thick these lines are, the width once again, and the slant is basically how italic your font is. But you can also check this one, so to show hidden axis, and there are way more parameters here as well. So you can just play around with these and get the exact font basically that you like, which is pretty fun, honestly. So what is also cool is that when you actually make a selection, so let's say I've got a poster design with 3 different rows of letters, let's say. So hey there, how are you? Let's say I want hey there to be a specific style, and how are you, I want it to be in a different style. You can totally do so with the same text box basically. So if I just double click on my text, it will select everything, and now I can change the parameters specifically for this selection basically. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna use this all too often because yeah, I'm just looking for the right fonts. But if you're more into design, this might actually be very useful for you. Now, the next one is also a pretty cool one, which is this one right here, the QR code tool. The other two are just for Affinity Designer. So the stroke width tool and the pencil tool improvements, they are just for designer. But the QR code tool is also a pretty fun one. Honestly, I don't think it's a massive upgrade, but you can now find a QR code tool. So under your rectangle tool, you can actually click and hold, and you will find the QR code tool at the very bottom here. And you can just click and drag on your screen, and it will automatically generate a working QR code. And you can change the fill, so you can change the color of it if you want to. And here you can change the data of it, and you can actually change the function of it. So if you wanted to send a text, you can do that. If you wanted to go to a URL, so to a website, you can. You can call someone, SMS, email, WhatsApp, FaceTime, change it to a specific location. So if you have like a brick and mortar store or a restaurant or whatever, you can actually change it to the location and then fill in the latitude and the longitude. And once once you scan it, you will be shown the exact location. So let's actually go to a URL, and for this URL I'm just gonna go to my website, which is this one right here, and you can actually see that if you change whatever, you can see that the QR code changes with it. I'm just gonna hit OK, and now this is actually a working QR code that people can actually scan. So if you're designing an invitation or you want people to get to your business card, which is actually the V card, so if you fill in your details here, people can actually find your details once they scan this QR code. Then you can now set a default preset for grid. I personally don't use grids a whole lot, but also if you do website design or other graphics design, this might be useful for you. So you can actually change the default now to whatever you prefer. There's the typography dialog that turns into a panel. So if I select my text and I go to character, and down here you'll find the typography settings, and they actually change this into a panel. So if you click on these three dots right here, you can actually see the typography panel. So instead of that it's now inside the character panel, you can actually drag this typography panel to wherever you want and have it ready to go. So these were the major updates in Affinity Photo 2.5. Nothing too big, nothing too crazy, but it's just nice to stay up to date to whatever is capable in Affinity Photo. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you in the next one.